Wow, what a game last night. That was exciting football. And this is what I've been saying the whole time about the Giants. Like, they don't need to win every game. They don't need to try to make the playoffs right now, right? It's like baby steps. And it's like, can you just get to playing competent football, to exciting football? Even if you end up losing the game, we just want something that's entertaining to watch. And boy, was it entertaining last night. I mean, there's something to be said that not only did we beat the Eagles, who are the defending Super Bowl champs, but we decisively beat them. I mean, they look like they quit at the end. Like Scatterboo took their soul. Okay, I mean, he was getting the last 6 minutes there. He was getting 10 yards, per carry. It's like they didn't even. They were like, we don't even want to tackle this guy. You got us. We lost. We'll take the L. Okay, you saw the was it AJ Brown and sitting on the sidelines. They looked like they were bored. There, listen, not to take anything away from the Giants. There's definitely something going on with the Eagles that I think is greater than football. And honestly, I mean, the four tush pushes is in the red zone. I mean, how lame can you get? And I understand that might have been a little bit of like a snub to the Giants. Like, hey, we're going to disrespect you so much. We're not even going to really run a play here inside the five. We're just going to tush push it into the end zone. Maybe, you know what? We took that punch and we smacked them in the mouth. And I think the big turning point in the game, maybe for the Eagles' mindset, was after halftime, Giants come out, they go 3-and-out. And they're only up by what was it, 3 points or something, or 4 points. I don't remember. Um, yeah, I think it was 17 10. I don't remember the score. We come out at halftime. We go 3-and-out. The Eagles get the ball. And we're like, here we go. They're going to go down the field and score. And they missed a wide open, was it Devonta Smith, I think? Missed him wide open. And then the Giants get the ball back. We stopped them, and we went down the field and scored. And I think at that point the Eagles were like, "Yeah, we're missing something tonight. I don't know what it is, but we're out of sync at a time." And so that was pretty much the game. I mean, the Giants were excellent on third down, um, and it was just a fun game to watch. Now, the energy that Dart and Scatterboo bring is amazing. It's infectious to the whole team, and how about little Jordan Humphrey stepping up, catching that pass on the first drive, that 34-yard catch or whatever it was? That was big. That set the tone that, hey, you know what? We might not have Neighbors, we might not have all our receivers, but we're still going to go down the field. We're still going to try to make plays. And listen, I don't know if I could say enough things about Dart, what he means to the team. It was scary when he went down. You're thinking maybe concussion or something. You're like, oh, here we go. Hopefully, maybe the Giants can just hold on. And when you saw that one play by Russell Wilson, you're like, wow, this is a night and day difference. Um, and this is who we need in the game, Dart. It's just he is the soul of the team along with Scatterboo. Um, and that's going to be the big thing with Dart is he needs to stay healthy. I understand the recklessness and um, the aggressiveness is what helps the Giants win and what helps them bring that energy to the team. But you got to be smart about it, and he'll learn. He'll learn. But man, his play, third downs. I mean, he hit that one to Theo Johnson. Two guys right in his face, and he hit Theo Johnson perfectly, on a catch and run, like a 15-yard pass to convert a third down. He had another one that Theo Johnson dropped, which was the same thing. Guy was in his face. He put it right in Theo Johnson's breadbasket. He ended up dropping it. Um, the throw to little Jordan Humphrey in the end zone, that was a perfect throw that I don't know if little Jordan Humphrey dropped it or maybe the defender who was in front of him looked like he kind of reached back and maybe knocked that ball kind of out. It was a perfect throw. The throw to Hyatt was another perfect, right on the money throw. Good thing we got the pass interference, and it was a little ticky tacky, but the guy did hold his right arm. Not that I think Hyatt could have caught it even with his right arm, using both hands, but it was pass interference. And like that is probably the biggest play of Hyatt's career. He did show up a bit. He converted a third down, although that was a lucky spot that the Giants got. He didn't really have the third down, but they gave it to him. He made it close enough, so good on him. Decent game. Little Jordan Humphrey, good game. And obviously Wandale with the big throw on the first drive for the touchdown. I mean, that's what you want to see. But Dart with his legs, with his arm, with his energy, with his leadership, telling guys, he said the same thing I was thinking on that very first pass they threw. He hits um, the defender right in the chest because Theo Johnson doesn't turn around. And I'm thinking, you got to turn around, man. Come on, you're running a route. You can't just run the route. You got to always be looking because the ball can come out at any point on your route. And right after that throw, Dart basically looked at him and said, "You got to look at the ball, guy. Like, this ball's coming out, and you might not have time to finish your route. If you're open, I'm hitting you with the ball." And I like stuff like that. Those little things show that he's taking control of the offense. He's holding guys accountable, including himself. And yeah, it's just a great game. And Scatterboo, I mean, what can you say? Now, look, I love the way he plays, but it's the same thing with him as Dart. This guy's looking for contact, and, it's just the nature of the business. He's probably going to end up getting injured. Now, it might not be this year because he's still young and whatnot, but, over the course of his career, he's going to get injured. But for now, I mean, he just demoralizes defenses. Even when he gets no yards, it's just in there draining the defense to try to tackle him. And he had a good game. He had 3 touchdowns. He had almost 100 yards. He had 98. Made a couple nice catches. And him and Dart are the new generation. So it was really a great win, and this feels different than when the Giants had some good wins in the past, right? Like, I can't remember if it was last year. It might have been 2 years ago. I brought this up where we beat the Seahawks, but it was like to beat the Seahawks, we had like block a field goal at the end, and that's not sustainable. Like a few other games where we won, where like especially in that 2022 season, it's like where teams missed like the game-winning field goal and we won. Again, it's just like a ball bounces your way. And even in that season, who were the teams we beat? We beat the Titans in the beginning of the season, right? We beat the Vikings, which, hey, that's probably the best win in recent history, is beating the Vikings in the playoffs. But let's call a spade a spade. The Vikings defense was not good, and that's why we were able to move the ball. Even this year, I mean, against the Cowboys, we were able to move the ball, but it's because their defense is not that good. Okay, but this was a legitimate team in the Eagles, even if they might be having problems, even if they might be having injuries. Listen, the Giants are not short on problems and are not short on injuries. So at the very least, it was an even playing field. I mean, come on, their number one receiver in terms of experience and going out there was Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't care who you have on the defense. You can't stop Wan'Dale Robinson and essentially 2 practice squad guys as receivers. That's on you. I don't care who's out there playing defensive back for you. Okay, so I don't want to hear about the Eagles' problem stuff. And what made this even sweeter, Saquon, other than the first 2 runs, he stunk, and he basically looked like the Saquon that played on the Giants. And it's perfect timing coming out with his documentary, which I don't even know why he came out with that, because it makes him look bad. It makes him look like like he's trying to play the victim and be a baby, like, oh, the Giants didn't. No, he didn't want to be a Giant. Okay, he went to Penn State. I think he grew up in Pennsylvania. He always wanted to be an Eagle. Okay, he didn't want to be a Giant. Now, the one misstep is John Mara should have traded him when he asked to be traded. He should have traded him instead of saying, "We're not trading you." But they offered him a good deal, and he didn't want to take it because he didn't want to be here. Probably for the fact that the franchise stinks, for the fact that the field is rough to play on. So he didn't want to be here. But it was just that much sweeter to watch him stink and lose after that came out. But what you can take away from this now, it doesn't mean the Giants are going to the playoffs. It doesn't even mean they're going to probably have a winning record. In the grand scheme of things, the Eagles are still 4-2, and the Giants are 2-4. And I know it hurts now. People are like, if we won the Saints game. But here's the thing: even at 3-3, I think we're still in the basement of the NFC East. So, what you take away from this game, though, is not those things. You take away that we can play competent football, which is that next step that we needed to get to. Forget about going to play. You got to be able to play consistent, repeatable football. And it looks like they can do that as long as Dart stays healthy. And Scatterboot really is just as important, because they not only bring the heart, soul, and energy, but they're bringing the skill. And so it's refreshing, to see that. And Dart said some things that, at the end of the game, in the post-game conference about, hey, I know that this franchise has experienced a lot of losing, but like, I don't exactly know how he worded it, but something to the effect of like, but hey, like, I wasn't here. Like, so, like, this is a new day. Like, I'm here. And I kind of talked about this during the game. That's what Scadaboo and Dart bring, that is their biggest strength, is they go into these games like, listen, we're gonna win. Now look, obviously there are games you're gonna lose. But that's the attitude they come out with every game. They go, we are gonna win this game, or at the very least, this other team is gonna feel it if we lose. Okay? Whereas when it was Daniel Jones and even when Russell Wilson, it felt like, oh, I hope we don't lose this game, right? And you can't, that's not the mindset that you need to have. You need to have this, like, we're the best players on this field, on our team, and we're going to win this game. And that's what they bring. And it worked last night. So, now they go to Denver, and I had said I think they could beat Denver. Now, again, that doesn't mean they will, right? Because if you looked at the 3 games, these past 3 games, Chargers, Saints, Eagles, you would go, oh, the Giants are going to go 1-2, and they're going to beat the Saints and lose to the Chargers and the Eagles. And the exact opposite happened. We went 2-1, and we beat the Chargers and Eagles and lost to the Saints. So you don't know what's going to happen. But I do think they have the ability, and quite honestly now, because they beat the Eagles, who were the defending Super Bowl champs, with no real weapons. Who were their real weapons? Okay, I do think Lil Jordan Humphrey could be pretty decent. He's 6'4", so he has some kind of physicality, which our receivers have been missing. And Theo Johnson, but he's still too inconsistent with his catching. But aside from that, like, who are the real scary weapons that you're like, whoa, this guy could body us up, or we go, nobody. Neighbors, but he's out. So we did that without a receiving core, essentially. And it was, like I said, it was a decisive win. It wasn't just like we held on and won at the end or whatever. It was a decisive win. Flop made a good interception. Wish he could have returned it for a touchdown, but a good interception. Burns had a timely sack. And overall, it was just a good, complete win. Special teams played well, except for the missed extra point by the kicker. So, this is what we've been looking for. Not to win tons of games, win 11, 12 games in a year, not to go to the playoffs, not to go to the Super Bowl. Of course, those things would be great, but you can't make that jump, right? Even as good as the Commanders were last year with Jayden Daniels, they didn't make the jump from bad to Super Bowl, okay? It's just play competent, exciting, entertaining football. And hopefully that leads to some wins, but that's what we want to see. And so far, in 3 weeks, they've done that. And, they're right. If they didn't have if they only had like 2 turnovers last week, like the 2 interceptions that Dart threw, they'd probably win that game. If they have only 3 turnovers, they'd probably win that game. But of course, they had to have 5, and they lose. But they were moving the ball on the Saints, and they were pretty much doing what they wanted to do. So, takeaways are, it's good to beat the Eagles. There's a lot more entertainment and things to watch now with the Giants, whether they win or lose. And now, because of how they want to beat the Eagles, you feel like there isn't a team on the schedule where you're like, whoa, my God, that's going to be a disaster. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be games that are disasters, where Dart throws 3 interceptions, he's trying to play hero ball or whatever. Of course, those games are going to come. He's a rookie, and we're going to be annoyed when they do come. But prior to the games now, there isn't anything you're looking at where you're like, how are we going to, how are we going to beat that 49er team? How are we going to beat that? So that's good. And that's the beginnings of changing the culture and the mindset. And that is the biggest strength of Dart Scadaboo. They're changing that culture and that mindset. And the biggest strength from that is because they weren't here to be living in the losing. So it's like a fresh start. They come in and they will their energy onto the team. And it's infectious. Like I said, I talked about this before. Dart will make rookie mistakes. He's in phase 1 of his career, which is proving he has NFL talent, which he's done easily through these 3 weeks. Okay? And the big question will be, towards the end of the year and into next year, to avoid the sophomore slump, can he prove that when teams stop what he likes to do, can he develop new wrinkles to his game? Can he read defenses better? Right? Can he Can he get a better deep ball? These are the things that yet to be seen. But for now, it's just about proving that you have NFL talent and can make plays. He's done that, and he's energized this team. And last point here, Daboll. If things continue the way they continue, I do think Daboll will stay because they don't want to break up the Daboll Dart kind of relationship. I had mentioned Dart is really grateful that Daboll believed in him and all that. But even in this game, some boneheaded things that he did. I mean, he called that timeout. Was it right before the half? Yeah, when Philly was probably going to get a delay game penalty, he called a timeout. And then the biggest one is Dart potentially comes off the field for concussion or whatever, and then like the next play that he goes in or the second play after he goes back in, they're running it with him again. And not like, oh, he chose to run, it was a scramble. No, like designed quarterback runs. That's what you do after your quarterback almost got his head taken off. He shouldn't have been running at all for the rest of the game. And on top of that, when he comes out of the tent, Daboll smacked him on the head. Like, don't smack him on the head. You could give him a concussion. So again, and that might be more Kafka than Daboll, but still, he should have radioed when Dart went in the tent and said, "Listen, don't run this kid no more. Okay, if he scrambles on a QB, trying to pass the ball and he scrambles, fine. But no designed QB runs for the rest of the game." But again, I don't know. That's going to be the biggest heart attack and problem with Dart is the injury risk. But to be fair, Jones had the same injury risk because he was kind of a runner, and he didn't even have the upside of Dart, right? Like at least when Dart runs and stuff, he could get that first down. He juked a defender, an Eagles defender in the open field and ran for the first touchdown of the game. Daniel Jones never did. The only person Daniel Jones ever juked was himself. Okay, and so he had the same injury risk, Jones, as Dart does, but didn't have the upside of the really big explosive play that Dart has. So can't take that away from him. You gotta keep it in there. It's just as he goes on, he'll get smarter. But good win. 10 days to heal up, and then on to the Broncos. As a great quarterback once said, Broncos country, let's ride.